to Iconic Talk, Winchester's #1 podcast with community conversation and an occasional clowning to take center stage. It's once again awesome to be here with all of you guys live and in real life, video, living color.
This is what we look like.
Yes, sir.
This is what we look
Welcome to our Icon Media Studios.
Rachel's like not
on
all
our
the time.
best and worst days.
Yeah, Rachel's like not
We're
all
here
the
to
time.
give you the local knowledge. You've heard everybody. You've seen everybody. And man, it's great to be here. What's up, Rachel?
Oh, just forgot we were going to do video. So this is what you get today when Rachel forgets that she's going to do video.
Okay.
So, yeah. I'm doing okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Gearing up for a grad party this weekend, so that's why I look like this.
Good.
So there is a reason.
Awesome.
That voice you hear, she's known on the streets as a spotlight, Miss Rachel Racy. How are you? Graduations all over the place.
All over the place.
Very
Get your
exciting.
trucker hat on.
Come on, it's Gabe's hat. He's like, Mom, why are you wearing my hat? I'm like, because it was there.
You also brought a guest today.
I brought a guest.
The panting is not me or Mark. It's the dog.
I brought our dog,
And that
King.
is third chair. So third chair over there, Mr. Caleb Pearson. How are you today?
Good. Caught my first snake yesterday,
You caught your first
which I was
snake.
more
Of the
than
season
due.
or
Yeah, of the
forever?
season. Of the
Okay.
season. Not of ever.
Got it.
No,
Okay.
Of the season.
Why
That's
are
key.
you catching snakes?
It's fun.
Stop.
And to protect and shepherd my family. But it was fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
protecting.
From the black snakes that kill all the other
Yeah.
predators?
Oh, yeah.
Right,
you don't
right.
kill. This is a catch and release situation,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was at my gym the other day, and I go to the gym class that typically has just a boatload of stay-at-home moms and all their kids. And they have a tiny little kids area that's smaller than the space we're sitting in right now. And they cram in 8 or 9 kids. They put a movie on, and they all sit there, and there's a glass door that they just bang on.
Oh, it's like
whole
the
time.
Chick-fil-A
And,
play area.
Let me out, basically. So at the end of it, they all come out. A couple of them ran outside to play, and I'm leaving in my car. And there's a little field mouse that they found. And 2 kids cornered it, picked it up by the tail, and started holding it
Just
around.
passing around diseases.
And the other mom's like, Mom, come here. They started petting it. One kid leaned in for a kiss on the mouse, and the mom comes
gym?
flying out.
What gym
kiss
are
on
you
the
going
mouse?
to, bro?
Yes, on the mouse's mouth, right? Yeah. And all the other parents were freaking out, but they put the little mouse in a bucket, and all 9 kids just hovered around staring at it like, this is amazing. If they did that to a snake, I would probably never come back to that gym.
That is hilarious.
Well, and that, ladies and gentlemen, the voice you hear is Mark Francis, friend of Winchester, real
Yeah.
estate agent,
Friend of everyone.
a friend of everyone. Friend of mice.
No, I'm not a friend of mice.
and men.
Mice are okay. Rats, no.
Oh, rats are a whole. Remember that movie Ben? Did you ever see that movie Ben?
No.
About the killer rats that take over New York City. It's an old movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, my older son Tyson,
Sorry.
who is also a friend of the show and does our social media
Tyson.
stuff. We went to go visit him in New York City where he lives, and literally on the side of the street, as I'm walking towards his apartment, there's one of the store owners is out there just sweeping, and he's sweeping just a dead rat and getting it off of his property and putting it onto the
someone
street.
else's.
Just sweep
New
it
York,
onto
baby.
the street.
Love it.
There you go. That's New York City.
Real, very real.
But that's my unfiltered update. I mean, we're already into that first
Yeah,
segment.
yeah,
but
yeah.
Give me the
caught a
segments.
snake.
Well, can we introduce
King,
This is
has,
King.
King has his unfiltered
This
update
is King
right
Charles
now.
Racy II.
He has
Had to
something
get him
say.
out of the
It'll be
house.
interesting to see how much of video we actually get of him. But
Yeah, he might not even
If you
show
hear
up.
panting or salivating, it's most likely not me.
Most
That's
likely.
good.
But-
He's our mascot now.
He
Yeah.
is the mascot.
So, Rachel, what's your unfiltered segment update?
Gearing up for Gabe's grad party this weekend, running to Walmart today, mulching the backyard, just kind of closing out that chapter of my
Wow.
second kid graduating and not really leaving the nest, but graduating. It's
Yeah.
another big,
It's a big deal.
milestone. Big deal.
Yeah.
So, 2 boys.
2 boys.
Christian and
Gabe. Shout out to Christian and Gabe. And both homeschooled for the last 4 years. So I feel kind of very involved in their schooling, which is, I have a level of pride in that I would
Wow.
ever experience.
That's impressive.
Either it was a wild success or it was a gross failure. I'm not sure yet. We'll see.
Time will tell.
But they graduated. They did graduate.
Yeah.
Did you ever homeschool yourself?
No.
Did you ever homeschool, Caleb?
Oh, yeah.
You
did
were
homeschool?
homeschooled?
I was homeschooled until 5th grade
Okay.
and then went in.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds, baby.
Yep.
That's what I call it.
Yep.
Yeah, not
So
me.
it's
So-
exciting.
I don't know if my mom would have been able to handle that.
To handle you.
Yeah, well, I'm the perfect kid.
Right,
It would have
that's
been
true.
it would have
That's
been my
true.
sister.
Yeah. Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
I don't know that I handled it well, but we did it.
Right.
So
Well, shout out to all the homeschoolers out there because this community has
a lot.
boatload
Yeah.
of homeschoolers.
more and more
Oh,
and
yeah.
more.
That's going to
Yeah.
be potentially a guest. We can find some homeschool co-op groups and they can
Yep.
explain what they do
Yeah,
because
that'd be
that
sweet.
is like an entire segment of our population.
It's a
that
huge
is,
niche.
like, big deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Very cool.
what's our
Loading
next
smell
segment
point.
here? What do we
Local
got?
lowdown first.
Yeah, local lowdown. What's happening in the local news? So what did you see in the local lowdown, Rachel?
I was just talking about this last night with a guest at the restaurant, but Forbes magazine just recently announced that Winchester proper is one of the top 10 locations in the country to retire.
Yeah, and it has been in the news over the last several years.
Forbes, I feel
But
like, is a much larger. That's a
Right,
big hit.
acknowledgement.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's
So.
hitting milestones of big national news stories.
Which was interesting for me to see that because I knew 5 to 7 years ago, Winchester was like number one in the state of most retirees moving there.
The Shenandoah Valley, I think,
Right.
was way more like the general area, but
Yeah.
now they're specifically saying Winchester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's cool
It's
to see that because
changed.
at the same time, young professionals are moving here. It's still getting that notoriety of retiring as well. So I feel like it's happening on all fronts.
Yeah.
But that was cool to see.
It's interesting. Again, yeah, the senior crowd, the retirement's getting the notoriety, but you're seeing the influx of younger people as well.
Oh, yeah.
So from my real estate hat, I'm seeing the influx of both as well,
Hmm.
where there's not enough 55 plus home communities out there. And some people want that, some don't.
Right.
But some appreciate that kind of lifestyle where just wipe your hands of it. I don't need to cut my grass.
Yeah.
I don't need to think
You're
about
right.
trash.
Yep.
I don't need to think about maintenance. So we need to continue to grow those
Mm-hmm.
communities. But then to have some of the younger, hip,
Just other housing
trendy,
and- yeah.
and affordable housing for
Right.
first-time home buyers is still a need. So it's growing. I mean, in Frederick County being the fastest growing county in
And
the
that's
state
where,
in the last
like,
couple of years too.
I mean,
Is it really? No?
Oh, yeah.
talk about a local lowdown. Like the infrastructure around here is going to have to change.
Oh, yeah.
And it is, but it's going to have to keep changing.
Starting with when is Publix coming?
Right. Oh, yeah.
When is Publix
Seriously.
coming?
Yeah.
Are you
So-
obsessed with Publix
No,
like he is
not
now?
at all.
Okay, good.
I'm just obsessed with the need for more grocery stores in general.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
I don't care what they are, just give them
Yeah,
to
give me
us.
options. Capitalism.
I
baby.
agree.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
went to shop at Martin's the other night and bought just basic things that I needed for the house because Erica was working and I came home and she's looking through. She's like, okay, good. And she's like, did you go to Martin's? I'm like, yeah. She's like, so no offense if you work at Martin's, but she's
Erica's
like,
not a fan.
She's like, don't go there again. Basically, I'll paraphrase.
Well,
the
she's a big
conversation.
Aldi person.
Big Aldi.
Big Aldi.
Is that her main
yeah.
one?
Well, and she also appreciates saving money.
Absolutely.
And so when you
And you
almost
can't do that at Martin's.
pay double for Martin's
Right.
food, it just is
Yep.
not logical. So yes,
Yeah.
I took the hit and I'm like, yeah, I was driving by it. I knew I needed to go there. I didn't want to circle back and go to Aldi. Sorry,
Right.
honey. And I was
Yeah.
Well,
like,
and Aldi
yeah.
is not like, it's a destination location of its own, especially if you live downtown.
Oh, yeah.
It's
You've gotta
a choice to go to Aldi.
choose.
Yeah.
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 So living downtown, that was my choice, and
Right.
yeah, probably not going to do it again. But my local lowdown was I was noticing in the Winchester Star about a week ago that the Laurel Center is launching their new cafe. Which is down there on Cameron Street, right next to their facility. So if you don't know what the Laurel Center is, they're an organization that supports and houses abused families, primarily women and children. They do a great job in the community. Kind of on the they don't really publicize themselves, for good reason. But it's a new cafe, and the Winchester Star was saying they were doing like different tastings and then launching it this past Monday.
It looks
So-
like from the photo that they serve full
It's
breakfast and
legit.
lunch.
Yeah.
Like
It looks
it's a
awesome.
real
Yeah.
place to go eat.
And the
not just
sources that I
coffee.
was talking to was explaining to me kind of the overall innovation of where they were coming up with this idea. They just wanted some grab and go food items, maybe just some like coffee to go, but it's evolved to be something I think even bigger than that.
really cool.
So I'm looking forward to go check it out.
It's another great option for people that are staying at the George because it's right around the corner from there. Rather than
Mm-hmm.
heading down to the walking mall, you can just cut right down Was that Cameron? Cameron Street,
Cameron.
yeah.
By
yeah.
the George.
The George.
The George Washington
The George
Hotel.
Washington Hotel by Wyndham
You're on a
Suites.
first name basis with him?
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
reals?
Yeah.
Winchester Elites.
It's part of the
Yeah.
local lowdown.
Yeah, it is.
You got to know
You heard it
George.
here first.
You got to know George.
George.
You got to know George. You got to go to him through me.
Oh, absolutely. Well, what else is next? So we talk about all kinds of things before we get to our guest. I mean, you talked about snakes.
Oh yeah.
I talked about
I just love
rats
catching
and mice.
stuff.
You know,
that would be the tangent talk of this episode.
There is this outdoor kind of component to living in Winchester as well.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Very much so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your outdoor experiences are what? What do you enjoy doing?
Oh, I've been fishing around here my whole life. We used to actually go swim in the Shenandoah River up in Front Royal until they
Oh,
found
my
out all
gosh.
that disgust. Your, what am I saying, nephew, right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He and I would go swim
Shout
there
out
all
to
the
Noel.
time. Cliff jumping over there.
Wow.
And then all these studies came out that it's super unhealthy to do. And
Yeah.
I think
That
Noel
explains
actually got sick.
Toxic waters,
Noel actually
right?
got sick in high school one time from it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. I do. It was wild. But, oh, yeah, there's just adventure everywhere. It's like, that's why I love Winchester. You're an hour from everything major you would want to do that's fun.
For sure.
And you're 20 minutes from all the minor stuff, the
Yeah.
redneck stuff, the stores, the whatever. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a ton of stuff. And even our guest that we'll get into talks about that, too.
Yes.
It's exciting.
Yes. I mean, I like the outdoors. I like looking at the outdoors.
You're an
I like-
athletic
You're not
outdoorsy.
like you don't want to go
being-
check for ticks later.
You're an athletic outdoorsy.
Yes, I love Winchester because of just the views and the sights and the opportunity that it has to be close enough to DC, but yeah, you can look at cool mountain views. I was just out there showing houses just yesterday, and just the cool roads that you can go up and down to see pastures and mountains and streams and stuff. What's up, King? You were making all kinds of noise here, aren't
He
you?
wants
Lie
to be
down,
on
buddy.
that. He
Yeah.
has a tangent talk for us. He's like, I've been catching stuff out there for years. Come here,
He's
buddy.
gonna shake and slobber everywhere. You know, that's part of the outdoors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Lie down.
I like to see the outdoors and enjoy it, but to live in it for days on end, no,
boy.
like not my thing. But
Yeah.
but we do have an amazing guest coming up.
We do
This
have an
is
amazing
Rachel's
guest coming up.
guest,
He was
right?
my guest. I felt really excited
way
to
to
even think
contribute.
of someone.
We were wondering when that was gonna
Get
happen.
him to like think about it, then get him to commit.
Oh,
you
he's the
know,
man.
it's a process.
Yeah.
It's like you take it personally if they say, no thanks.
So this is our segment,
Thanks,
Gab with
but
a
no
Guest,
thanks.
right?
Gab with a Guest.
So tell us about.
So today's guest is a local. I believe he said he'd been here since the second grade. His name is Jared Mounts, and I stumbled across him when we found out that there was a local youth bass fishing league that's basically under Bassmaster, and Jared was Christian's assigned fishing coach. He's the guy that owned the boat and then took Christian and his partner under his wing. And that's how I got to know Jared. Then come to find out he's got lots of other little touch points throughout the community that I really thought were worth bringing him on for.
Cool.
So,
Well, we get all kinds of Rachel updates here. We get Gabe graduating, get stories about
I mean,
Christian and
She's bringing
fishing.
her dog.
You know,
I
you know
brought
what I
my
mean? She's
dog.
moving in.
I am.
This is her
I'm
studio.
here.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
here.
Gab with a Guest, as always, is sponsored by Icon Media. This is your one-stop shop for all things marketing solutions. So find out how Icon Media can help grow your brand and book your next project with them at iconmedia.cc. So we are excited about Jared talking with all of us. So check it out.
today we have Jared Mounts, and I was joking with Jared, and I was telling my kids last night, or actually today, this morning, that I feel like Jared is like the Kevin Bacon game, like the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I don't know if you remember that game. when we were
sure.
kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so recently my sister actually met Kevin Bacon and had a picture taken with him in front of the Step and Repeat at my brother-in-law's film festival. And I said, Jared is like 1 degree away from being a business owner, but he's got his fingers everywhere in businesses all over the place.
Nice.
And I originally met Jared because we found out that Frederick County actually had a junior bass fishing competitive league. Christian was into fishing at the time, and I think Daniel Charles, I think Christian's dad, stumbled upon that.
Yeah, and he was doing
Right?
bait, selling baits, Jake's Bait and Tackle.
Right.
He was making baits, so that's where we first met him.
Right. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have Jared on this podcast, was because I feel like that was something that I did not know that Winchester had to offer. And I had lived here my entire life. And so I thought you could share about that and Jake's Bait and Tackle and your time at James Wood High School. And Jared's just got a lot to
So many
offer.
questions there.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Of,
Give
lot-
us your
lot- Where do
story.
you want to
Yeah.
start?
Where'd you start
Yeah.
from? Yeah.
Yeah,
Fire away.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I guess I came to Winchester probably second grade. Second grade, I was Frederick Douglass Elementary. Then we moved out to the county. Went to Stonewall, Frederick County Middle School, James Wood High School, 1993 graduate. Wrestled, played football and baseball. I wasn't good at any of them, but I loved them all and enjoyed that time there at James Wood. And then went to Shepherd, got my teaching degree, K-12, PE Health, Driver's Ed. Came back, had the good fortune of teaching where I went to school, and that was kind of unique. It was one thing to go to James Wood and graduate from James Wood and go back and teach with the teachers that taught you from a different perspective. That was very unique, but very much enjoyed that. I, again, taught PE, health, driver's ed, outdoor education. That was a fun class that I taught, get students out of class and go on field trips, canoeing, camping, hiking, things like that.
Very outdoorsy then.
Yes, that was fun. That was a fun class. Everybody enjoyed it. Kids enjoyed it. Teachers enjoyed it because I could get them out of class, out of school for the day. The principal even came to me one time. He was like, "Jared, you got to stay to the ratio, whatever that was, of teacher to students." And I'm thinking, well, I've got it. Like, I've got enough. Like, and then he was like, "No, you're taking too many. You're taking too many teachers out of the building. So we got to leave some in the building."
Go with Jared.
That's right.
Where do you think your love of outdoors came from?
So I think growing up, my dad was, taught me to hunt and fish. And I grew up on 3 acres along the Pecking Creek. So, and you always joke about, I'm 50, before cell phones, and we always talk about this, but I don't know if some of the younger generation would understand this, the idea that, you entertained yourself and kind of like, mom shoved you outside.
Go outside, go play all day.
Go play.
When the
And
street lights come on.
Seriously. And that's the way it was. So I spent a lot of time outside running up and down the creek and, I just enjoyed that. And so, that's kind of, I think, where I got the enjoyment. And then through high school, I had some buddies, some friends that we liked to canoe the Shenandoah River and fish, and wade, the river, and things of that nature. And I just, and I introduced my kids to it. Not everybody's going to take to it, but it was something I did enjoy, and I think it's as much just being out in nature and just enjoying God's creation. Mm-hmm. And then, if you happen to catch a fish or harvest a deer, then that's a bonus. But
it's a great area for that. I mean, you get all kinds of opportunities of where to go, places to hike, places to fish, places to hunt.
100%.
You name it.
And that was the thing with students, too. It was interesting because it was like, especially, again, back in the day, the mall, like, you didn't have a lot to do. Winchester wasn't what it is now, back in the 80s and the 90s. But, yeah. So,
he looks at Caleb.
I mean, back in the day, you could smoke in the Apple Blossom Mall.
Yes.
When I grew up there, it was like people would just gangs would just walk through the mall and just smoke cigarettes. And my parents hated it, and it might still actually. How do they get away with retail clothing in here with all this cigarette smoke? But they did.
Yeah, and you had the arcade. I mean, there was a lot of. But so and that's what I told the students. It was dubbed Funchester, right? There's nothing to do in Winchester.
Sure, right.
I said, if you like the outdoors, to your point, I mean, between Front Royal, Winchester, I mean, there's more, trails that you can hike and streams that you can fish, and there's so much that you can do with Skyline Drive and the mountains and the rivers. I mean, it's just, and so that is kind of cool. And I don't guess you understand that or realize that really when you're young. But I ran into somebody today that went as a chaperone, a father, and he said, "I remember going on that hike with you guys to Old Rag Mountain."
Oh yeah, nice.
Which is a beautiful hike. Are you? Have you done it before?
Twice.
Beautiful.
You're going again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's like one of the more intense trails on the whole East Coast.
It is. I've done a few. I don't know that I would say it was as the roller coaster on the AT is one of the hardest hikes I've ever done. It's 15, 16 miles, 3,500 feet of elevation. Old Rag is the bouldering at the end is just absolutely brutal.
Yes.
The rock scramble,
My one story of that, we were hiking up. This is many, many years ago, and we were getting to that area, the boulder, and we're just starting to struggle. And it was like a Nike commercial. I mean, there was just 2 guys with backpacks on that were just running, just going up the hill, and just passed us by, and we're just looking at them like, are you kidding me?
That's right.
What is going on? And they just left us in the dust. By the time we got up there, huffing and puffing, they were like, we're done. We're out. Going back down. Yeah. I mean, it's just, that is intense.
That's
it's
a
no
great
joke.
hike.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it can really get you into it. And that's what this guy said. He said, since that trip, I've done it 4 or 5 times.
So fun.
The views, I mean, just spectacular and a sense of accomplishment.
I even learned more about hiking trails when you're running track and
high school.
Oh, yeah.
I joined indoor track before I ever ran outdoor track. So I was like, this will be nice and cozy. We'll be inside all the time. Never inside.
Have you ever hiked? You don't look like
Only
a
for the
hiker.
meets.
I'll tell you what, I've done Bears Den. Sometimes I drive
That
all
is
the way to the top.
1 mile.
Sometimes
Drive all
if
the
you
way
drive
to
all
top.
the way to
If you
top, it's
drive?
100 yards.
Sure, that's
Oh
not
my
a hike,
gosh.
Caleb.
My point,
Get out of the
Don't
room.
interrupt me. My point was we would run trails.
Yeah.
We wouldn't run
Right.
at school.
Yeah.
So that was always fun. It is totally more fun to run something like that because it feels more rewarding than a
Well, and
track.
it's like so much more brain
And
involved.
there's just
You're
so
the
many places to
terrain.
go. Like you say, like there's
Yeah.
nooks and crannies of rivers and
Yeah.
trails.
Yep.
It's stuff that's not labeled, stuff that you can't
That's
Google.
right.
And
Yeah.
Those are
That's
the rewarding
right.
ones.
So have you always been in Winchester then? Have you
So,
ever
yeah,
lived
well,
outside of town?
Have I ever?
Or moved out of town and then come
Once you
back? Or have
moved
you
here.
always been here in Winchester?
Yeah, always been ever since we moved from my parents. I was born at Fairfax Hospital in Sterling, and then Dad got a job here in Winchester, and so never moved. We thought we were going to have to move here about a year ago for an opportunity with Chick-fil-A, but the mall came open and we were able to stay local. So, not going to say it won't happen in the future but for right now, yeah, I've always been in Winchester. So.
Has it
So-
been wild for you to switch careers from working for the refriggeration to working at Chick-fil-A?
Yes, I went from 17 years of teaching and coaching, coached baseball, wrestling, and I didn't. People would always ask me, "Do you miss teaching?" Or I didn't really. I love teaching. I really did. I'd probably still be doing it. But when Dad had a commercial refrigeration business of now it's going on 30 some years, and then he was a tradesman. And then as he got older, too old to go up and down the ladder, he was probably, I guess, 60. Mom told him he needed to get another job because he wasn't into managing the business. And so he decided to open a bait and tackle shop. And so he did that in 2012 and that's grown from like 400 square foot to 4,000 square foot. And so with both businesses growing, they needed help kind of running or managing the family businesses type thing. Of course, my parents never asked me. They never asked me to come on, which I thought was interesting. Now, I did work there in the summer times at Shanda Refrigeration as a teacher. The salaries aren't great, which is okay, but you have to make up that in other ways.
Yeah.
And so I was always working in the summertime, working several different jobs. But it was my uncle that actually had recruited me to come on and just kind of help. And that first transition was odd because and I actually walked away from it 3 times, the family business, because I said, no, I'm not interested. Because business is hard and family business is harder, even harder. And I felt like relationships are more important than say a business. And so, but it did allow me eventually, and I had to figure out what am I going to do? Like, I'm not a tradesman. So how can I help and not be a drag on the business? And when I started thinking about the coaching aspect of team and goal oriented and different things like that, managing people, I thought maybe I can do that, kind of as a personnel type HR type thing. So I came on and helped with Shanda Refrigeration for 10 years and then part-time with Jake's bait and tackle. So
when was that? When did you kind of jump in part-time with them?
So that was the last 10 years. So actually the full 12 years I've been with Jake's. I was teaching and then part-time Jake's, and then it left teaching to go to Shanda Refrigeration, Jake's. And then in October, my wife landed the mall, Chick-fil-A, Apple Blossom Mall, and which is kind of a unique story too. Since you're talking about Winchester and the mall, her dad, Mr. Guffey, Chuck Guffey, moved the family from South Carolina to Winchester in 1983 and opened Chick-fil-A at the mall there. And I don't think Chick-fil-A was not in the area until then. And so
that was the first one.
That was the first one. Carrie came. She was like 8 at the time, so she was known to sample nuggets on the lease line. As an 8-year-old.
That's what Chick-fil-A was. Back for those that were not around in the 80s
years.
and 90s. Chick-fil-A did not exist in stores. It was just literally malls.
Yeah.
Caleb.
That's right.
It was part of
fascinating.
food court.
And
That's
you
right.
go to the mall, just be like, give me those free samples. You'd show up
That's right.
as a kid growing up, be
That's
like,
right.
give me to the mall. I'm going straight to the
right.
Chick-fil-A
So good.
so I can
Like
get the
Costco,
samples on a
right?
stick.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's right.
My dad was the handyman who was hired to hang the
wow.
original sign, like the
Okay.
first Chick-fil-A sign that hung above the.
That's awesome.
And I remember he had to go in and replace it because it wasn't lighted. They got the wrong sign,
Okay.
and they wanted a lighted sign.
That's
so
cool.
Anyway,
And then
I
you
had
worked
forgotten
there.
all.
You worked there.
I worked there when I was newly divorced,
Okay.
2013 and 2014, when it was run by an interim manager. It had an operator when I started, and then that operator left and moved to Maryland. And I worked for an interim operator for about a year,
Okay.
year and a half.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then our son works there.
And now
Christian
Christian
works
works
there. So
Shout out to
the place
Christian.
it's
to
a
be.
family
Absolutely,
deal.
place to be.
Yeah.
So tell us about coaching a bit. Like, what did you learn out of coaching kids? You mentioned a little bit of management
Yeah.
and leadership components.
Yeah.
Like, what did the kids teach you how to do in
Yeah,
that world?
so my coaching story, I had some great mentors playing sports. Jay Kopp, Pepper Martin, Bruce Shepard, had a lot of great coaches that I played for. And then going into my, I guess, 17, 18, I helped Pepper Martin, who's a legend around here.
Yep.
It was
Oh, yeah.
Shrando. He just, named after him. Well, he coached me when I was 8, right? And so I'm 50, not to age him, but I helped him. The T-ball minor league program at the time here in Winchester, he had about 200 to 300 kids in a T-ball to minor league, ages 6 to say 10 or 11. And it was unique in the fact that you didn't have individual coaches for each team. It was Pepper, Coach Martin, and then he had 2 or 3 helpers from the high schools that would help him. And they ran everything. They ran the practices, ran the games. And it was very unique because it took out the competitiveness. You didn't even really keep score. It was more instructional. And so I really learned from Coach Martin in those years. So that helping him, and then the very next year he had stepped down, and then I stepped in. So I did that for 5 years. And it was kind of cool, too, because the things that I learned from Coach Martin and how he taught and how he coached, and I went to Shepherd, and they called it the Shepherd College teaching model, a certain way of teaching. I thought, oh, wow, I'm already doing this. Is what Pepper taught me. And so then, going into high school and coaching, like I say, wrestling and baseball, it's just I was telling a young lady today that I interviewed, for a job, Chick-fil-A. She's a softball player at Millbrook. That just, athletics there's just such you have that family dynamic. You have the teamwork. You have goals. You learn how to win. You learn how to fail. You're going to lose. When you do lose, let's evaluate what we did wrong, what we need to work on, to get better. Adversity, just a lot of, grit and drive and so, I felt like too, it wasn't just about the wins and losses. I mean, that's our goal, to go out and win and compete, but also about growing men in the case of baseball and wrestling, or young people, like growing them and teaching them things. I know my coaches like adversity, like the things that I went through in my adult life, I can lean back on, those things that they were hard. It was that tough love, type thing that, I think that kind of carries over, into real life.
Was it always baseball for you?
Wrestling,
Okay.
wrestling too. My first year I did football,
Okay.
freshman football, and then I did wrestling. I stuck with that as an assistant coach for I'm not sure even how long, 8 or 10 years. And I was a head baseball coach for 10 years, assistant for a couple years in there. And that was different. And it's interesting too, because we all have different personalities, right? And it's and that's always unique too. And I always love young kids are just and it's what I told the lady today too, young lady. Kids get such a bad rap, and they used to, and they still do. Like, oh, kids these days. Kids, they're not any different than what we were.
Yep.
They got technology.
Parents
They got
Nothing is
Right.
new under the sun. It's always the older generations yelling at the younger kids.
That's right.
Like,
Yep.
do better.
And you got a small percentage that are knuckleheads, and we were all knuckleheads too. But but the majority are good and trying to do the right things, and
There's potential there.
oh, so
Yeah.
much potential. Yes, absolutely. And that is another cool thing it's not where they're at, it's where they're going to be, and seeing that potential. That's a good point, Caleb. Like seeing the potential and showing them that they can achieve this. And strength training, for example, too. It's so cool to take a freshman and just teach them the basics. Don't worry about how much you can lift. You can lift a bar or whatever, but let's learn
Caleb
the
can't
basics.
really lift a lot either, so
I want the basics. I want the training.
he's over here like, yes.
But over time, they can feel that they can see that progression.
Well,
Do you
no,
have
Chris-
any? Go ahead.
I was going to say, Christian really enjoyed having you as a mentor, really a mentor coach. On his 2 years,
2 years, I think.
2 years,
yeah.
he was on the competitive bass fishing team. He loved you. He's like, Jared's just so great, and I think you really enjoyed.
I enjoyed it,
Christian
and we
as
had
well.
you got a picture of 3 of us on a boat, and so 2 kids. And I'm I've mellowed a lot in my older age. And I had some really intense coaches, and times have changed, and I tried, and it's a different sport. And so I tried it, but there's times I can get amped up, and there's times I get on this, and kind of like I'm not a Vince Lombardi, but I'm just saying, and just really get, and it's like there's times he'd look at me kind of like, but he would grin, but yeah, so that was always fun. And it was, again, those times on the boat competing, it's fun. Like it's fun to.
How did you get involved in that? Was that through Jake's Bait and Tackle?
Yes, I guess so. Trying to think. Yeah. So Brian and Kelly Henry, their son, who's now not a state trooper, he's down in Florida, a police officer in Florida. When he was young, and he's probably now mid-20s, they started the program. And then I got involved.
No idea it existed.
Yeah.
So tell us about what is existing. So it's a training
it's the Frederick
program?
County
bass,
a competitive bass fishing league. Basically, it's the same idea as watching a professional fishing tournament on a river or a lake, but it's for younger kids who are in high school to learn how to compete. I know Christian was on the trolling motor. Like there's things you can participate in and help out, and there's things you can't do as a coach, as a mentor. Like each team has to have somebody that owns a boat. And so you owned the boat and you were their like coach, boat captain, but they were in charge of, like, you could take them out to the fishing location, right? You drove the boat out.
I drove the big motor, the boat, and then once we shut down, they drop the trolling motor, and then they go from there. And we would work as a team and collaborate. And it originates from like Bassmaster. Like Rachel was saying, it's an elite. Just think of any professional sport, the pros, and then the minor leagues, and on down, high school, and that's college and high school, and that's what it's a competitive fishing. They weigh 5 fish. They have a certain amount starting time and end time. A weigh in, you bring 5 fish to the scales.
It's really fun.
You weigh those 5 fish, and that's how you determine. And so what's interesting, what I love too, is it's a different competitive deal than say like football, or you could be fast with track and the different things. But this is something, and not saying they're not athletes, but it's something that you're competing against the fish. You're not competing against somebody.
Caleb, you should consider this since you're a non-athlete as well.
What is she saying?
Yeah.
Caleb?
She always comes for
lips.
Caleb.
I'm always out to get Caleb.
So
He's got the terminology.
Give us some tips. So like if you were going to work with a kid and you had 5 minutes to give them, what are the key skills you need to know? Like, what are some of those things that as a new fisher,
5 minutes,
like how would you coach them through that? What does that look like?
And we only have 5 minutes.
Elaborate more. Go for it.
So it is, and it's, you can keep it as simple as you want or as complex as you want, and we can go down rabbit holes, but basically you've got the technique of the rods, the spinning rod. Now you can, everybody will start with a Zepco push button type deal, Snoopy rod. But then you have a bait caster or a spinning reel option, and then your lure. So casting, there's certain casting. So we try to work on that too, and everybody's on different levels. So kids can be in elementary, middle school, is a junior division, and then high school. And so we really take them where they're at, and then we would have to, casting is probably the most important thing initially first. And then, different techniques. There's a lot of different techniques. They can be throwing moving baits, dragging jigs, mimicking different forage that the fish might be naturally eating on. Hook sets on those different techniques. How you fight the fish. Really, the big thing is knowing fish behavior. Time of year,
spawn, temperature of the water. Like when it's rained, when it's been cool. Christian became so smart with all of this stuff, learning the patterns of mating season and spawn, and when they're coming out of their hibernation period, and like all of it's crazy.
And I'm gonna tell you a quick story on Christian that's so cool too, and I'm not an expert by any means, but I like sharing, what we do know. We have several different boat captains, and we have coaches, but one cool thing about Christian too, like we learn from each other. Like for example too, like we were on one bank and the wind was picking up, and he was like, "We got to go." I said, "Why?" He said, "It's too windy." I said, "Oh no, we're gonna throw this spinnerbait or chatterbait, and we're going to work down this bank." And so his partner caught a really good fish, and that stuck with him. Like a week later, he sends me a picture of a big old bucket mouth out of one of the ponds, and he's like, "I caught it on a spinnerbait." Well, then a week later, we're up at Lake Holiday, and he's great with a swim jig, and I'm not a big swim jig guy, but he was wearing them out, ripping lips. Okay, to Caleb's point, and I'm just like,
is that a phrase?
Is a phrase? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And he was putting on a clinic, and I learned from Christian. Like I was like, wow. And the way he was fishing, and it was working. And so I learned from him, and I now well, I use that more, and I've used it with my kids more, and we've had success. This last tournament I was with, we tied those on, and we had some success and caught some fish. I like dragging. My man
Christian
is
is a
my
chatterbait
man
kid.
is a he is you're the fluke is good. I love it.
I'm the newbie here, so
Caleb missed his calling.
see that's why I asked the question because I have no clue
I
what
love it.
I'm doing.
I didn't have a clue that like any. I mean, Christian always loved to fish, but it is 100%
me,
so low.
So where are the local places to go fishing?
He
like
can't
give
tell
us
you
like
that. He
well,
can't tell you
no,
that.
that's
some of the
but
oh
that's
really
what we're
that's
all
the,
about.
those
like
the
the thing,
secrets.
like your secret.
If you're a
fishing
tournament
hole.
guy, they it's hush hush. But like Jake's Bait and
okay.
Tackle, we want you to have success. We want you to catch fish. And so, you have your ponds. Clearbrook Pond is a good one. Whether you're fishing trout, like species of fish, smallmouth. We do have the Shenandoah River is an excellent fishery, and then it's broken up into a South Fork of the Shenandoah, which is near Front Royal. It's going to come through Front Royal. The North Fork is more Woodstock, Toms Brook, Strasburg, and then they meet together there in Front Royal and form the main stem of the Shenandoah, which goes Route 7, 50, Locks, Route 7, down into Harper's Ferry, or meets Potomac. And so that whole river system, canoeing, kayaking, like I say, some wading. A lot of guys have river boats, jet boats. Huge in this area. Lake Frederick is the closest big lake, but a lot of times we're traveling. Like for these tournaments, we're traveling in 2.5 hours to Lake Anna, and then the rest of them are usually 4 hours south. Kerr, Bugs Island, which is the same. Gaston,
Yeah.
James River down near Richmond.
I remember that one tournament that it was so ungodly cold.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, after the practice, they have a practice day and then there's tournament day. And after practice day, I realized that he was grossly underprepared for the rain,
the elements,
it was awful.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't complain. He would just
he was
out
a
there
trooper,
freezing to death.
That's right.
You have mom guilt over that?
No,
That's
I just
right.
didn't
That's
know.
right.
I immediately went to Walmart. Yeah. Oh yeah, and he would endure. And I went to Walmart that afternoon, and like it was like barely anything left because it was like end of March, early April, and I was like scrounging for winter clothes for my kid because we just didn't have what he needed. It was
Wow.
It was so crazy cold.
But he kept coming back, and he had fun. Like it's so. And
He
you're
did.
right.
He had
like
fun.
you have fun. Like it's
Yep.
miserable at the time. You're like, what are we doing? But it's.
Yep.
I can remember even the one tournament. It was just pouring buckets. Like we'd have been drier if we just
pouring.
jumped in the water. And his partner Bryson, but it does start to get mental because you're just like, especially the wind's blowing. So I literally pulled out and I don't know why, I just pulled out an umbrella. And Bryson was like, it changed his whole attitude, mood, even though we were wet. Like it was just kind of like, and then Christian was like,
I think
protection.
was that the tournament that Christian came back in Bryson's huge waders.
Might have been.
There was this pair of waders that it looked like Christian was wearing a bag. Like he got back from the tournament and he was in these. He's like, Mom, these waders saved me. I'm like, they're so big. And Christian's not a small, he's not a small kid, but he was in these waders that were just, because Bryson's a big kid.
Big
and
boy.
So I think he had loaned Christian his waders and they had just like saved him because he was out there in like jeans and tennis shoes.
You got to dig up those pictures.
I will.
Okay.
I'll have to dig them up.
Get them out there to everybody.
Right.
So, like, tell us, how can people get plugged in? Is that something that you're still doing and working
absolutely.
with kids to coach them in this?
Yeah, so it's a season that we actually had 2 teams, one junior, one senior, just qualified for a national tournament. And they're going to Georgia in a month to compete nationally. And then and one young man, he actually has a signing tomorrow. He's going to be fishing at Wabash.
Wow.
Thomas Newman signed to fish at a college. They're going to pay half of his tuition.
No kidding.
Yep,
he
it's
was
a
one of the
junior
kids
college.
Christian.
He
Yes,
was,
I remember
yep.
that name sounds familiar.
And so he's got a signing tomorrow. And but anyway, so it'll actually start in the fall. In September, we'll probably have a meeting in August. They need to have a partner of the same age, like say elementary, middle, or high school, and then a boat captain. And then they go to Frederick, www.frederickpass.com. We also have a Facebook page. And then you can email me or call me, reach out to me. and we can get them fixed up and get them on the team.
And then you got all the gear that you need at the store too, right?
Yeah, that's right. And that's the only thing too. Some of these kids, like, it becomes an addiction, which I do kind of feel bad, like, because we're not about, like, the shop is not. My dad said when he first opened Jake's, like, somebody asked him, did an entrepreneur project, said, why did you start this business, specifically the bait and tackle shop? And his answer was great. He said, most people start a business to make a living. He said, I've already made my living. He said, I just enjoy fishing. I want to help others catch fish and have that same experience. I thought that's cool. And so, but the problem is when you do get hooked and you just then, like, all this new stuff. Yeah, it's like, I got to have this, I got to have that. And, like,
the money Christian spent on reel and rod combos and more and more and more and more and more stuff.
I do feel bad because you don't need all that
but
stuff.
He was spending his own money. I wasn't giving him the money for it.
And that is so important too, because I tell him all the time, like, go out and mow grass, like, and the kids that do go out and earn it, like, then if you've earned that money, then if that's what you want to spend it on.
So where's the store? Give us the details.
Jake's Bait and Tackle is
in the middle of nowhere.
You think? It's out Rutherford Crossing, Route 11 North. If you know where the Lowe's, Target, Chick-fil-A, Texas Roadhouse is, if you're going north, instead of going left to go there, go right on Snowden Boulevard. H.H. Hump's Trucking is there. We rent off of them 4,000 square foot, so it's in that location. Come in. Like, again, Fridays, there's an OGs club, old guys club, a bunch of old retired guys that come in and just tell lies, drink coffee, like, so it's an atmosphere of
dishonesty.
That's right. And you know how you tell
bragging,
and you know how you tell if a fisherman's lying. His lips are moving. Like, that's pretty much
wow. That's why we're on video for these jokes. There you go.
That's it. I love it.
Well, Jared, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
it's been amazing to catch up with you.
Me. Yeah. It's a great community. You guys are doing great things, and
we want to promote the people in town.
Yep.
That's right.
So,
Yep.
Check it out.
It's a nice store.
Yep. Check out the store. Check out how to get plugged in for the fall, September,
right.
all those things. What was the website again?
It's www.frederickbass.com.
Okay. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Yep.
Thanks
Jared's
again,
the
Rachel.
man. I'm so excited to have met him.
He's cool.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
I mean, he tells some really good stories,
Yep.
but he gives that personal flair of Winchester.
He does. And you can tell he, like, really enjoys mentoring people. That was like his, even in just the personal conversations I would have with him outside of Christian about fishing and whatnot, you could tell he was just in it for the right reasons, just donating his time to these kids.
Yeah.
Whether it was on hiking trips in high school or baseball or wrestling. I had no idea he had done all of that, but yeah, he's been a good ad. So
let's talk about what we learned. Caleb, what'd you learn?
I learned where Jake's Bait and Tackle is.
Yep.
And I'm so excited to go visit. I also learned you can have your hand in so many different things. Like, I don't know why it's so easy to think when a guest comes on, they're going to share one story or they're going to be an expert on one thing. But instead, to have somebody like that who's well-rounded and has been doing different things and isn't really seeing it as leaving one of those things just to do the other was cool. And so it's a testament to me as I've planted my family here of, like, what sort of legacy do I want 20, 30 years into this, that I can be a part of so many different things. So that's kind of what stood out to me.
And I think he does it well.
Oh, yeah.
It seems to me it's pretty balanced. Like, he does it well.
Yeah. What'd you learn?
What did I learn? I learned that he learned from Christian.
That's funny,
like,
right?
Like going back and watching that clip, I was like, oh, because I always appreciated the fact that Christian is so teachable. I think that's one of the things that made it so easy for Jared to be Christian's mentor. But for the fact that Jared is also teachable, I think that is something that is so important as adults, that we are never above learning from somebody that's younger than us.
It's true of young people and teenagers.
I really appreciated
we can learn from them.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I learned that Christian's a tough cookie, being out there in some
The
deep
wind.
weather.
Oh my gosh.
Cold weather,
Brutal.
getting his waders and stuff. So
Fishermen.
shout out to
Just
Christian.
dying, but still out there. Just dying.
And I learned a new phrase. I can't even remember when you get hooked.
Ripping lips.
Ripping lips.
Oh my gosh.
Ripping lips, Mark. I'll get you a T-shirt. I'll get you a bumper sticker. Icon Realty and ripping lips.
Never
People will be
heard
like,
of
what
that
does this
one.
guy do?
Heard
What
that
does this
one
guy
before.
do?
New to me. Oh my goodness. Well, final segment. Local updates. What are the events happening? I know there's something downtown, right?
Hot Blossom is on this coming Saturday, the 7th, from noon to 6 downtown. It's the local craft beer festival. I'm not sure if there are food trucks. I don't know a whole lot about that. I know that the brewery that I work for, that my boss owns, is going to be represented there, but that is
nice.
Down on the Walking Mall this Saturday.
And a little bit more of a chill kind
Much
of
more
vibe
chill.
than the Apple Blossom
Do not let
scene,
Wine
right?
Fest scare you away from Hot Blossom.
I also see that Museum of Shenandoah Valley has a pottery show and sale. So that's on Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 5. So you can go to Museum of the Shenandoah Valley, see all kinds of local pottery. And I've been there before. It's been years, but it's really cool to see the different variety of things that people make, and then they'll sell it. So that's a really good option. And then you can also go to, where was I looking before? It's Belle Grove has a garden fest. So being spring. And again, these locations like to do fun things like this every couple times a year, so they can expose the community to who they are and what they do. So you get a chance to see the beautiful
And Belle Grove is
plantation.
just what 10 miles south?
Just
of,
south. Yeah, it's
down Route 11.
Yep, down Middletown.
Yep.
So you can check that out. So that's this weekend. Next weekend, if you're a car person, because it's Father's Day next weekend, head to Middletown. They've got like a cool car show and festival. So we'll put links up to all these things. And then obviously I'm going to try to go check out that Laurel Center location.
For sure.
Oh, the cafe
sure.
thing. Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
So it's been fun to be on video. Can you guys imagine this?
It's just so much comfier up in here.
So much comfier. And you can see us and you can hear us clearly. We're going to continue to grow. It has not stopped at this. We're going to get some decor.
One day you're going to be able to tell your friends, I've been listening since the beginning.
Since Rachel showed up in leggings.
When these fools didn't know what they were doing.
Rachel showed up in a ball cap.
With the mascot.
With her dog.
On the floor.
We'll have to get a picture of the four of us.
Absolutely.
Us three and King.
So thanks for joining us with another episode of Iconic Talk. We want to continue to be part of your bi-weekly routine. Shout out Iconic Talk to your friends. So continue to let them know that they can find us on Spotify, Apple, Google, but now on YouTube. So look for social media. Like us there as well. We're going to put up some fun pictures. We've got to find a picture of Christian, right?
Got to find a picture of Christian.
Yep. So you'll hear about that as well as you like us and see more things about that. Thanks to our editor extraordinaire, Simeon Battaglia, and our social media expert, Tyson Francis. Once again, maybe you guys might be on the show. So give us your thoughts, give us your questions, and maybe you want to promote things that you want to talk about, and we're here for you. So you never know. You might be our next guest. Until next time.
Think Iconic.